name is Angela Rasnick, and I am the director at First Choice Pregnancy Counseling Center.
My name is Jan Lamb, and I'm a counselor here in Bedford County.
We have the blessing of seeing many, many babies in the womb on our ultrasound machine at First Choice. A few years ago, it occurred to me that we were seeing a lot of babies that were not surviving to be born outside the womb. At that time, I became very burdened about the pain and the sadness and the struggles that these families were having. And as I began to do some research, I realized that it was actually 1 out of 4 babies that do not survive to be born. And I began to think about that, and as I thought about it, I realized that actually I and our family was in that statistic also, because we also experienced a miscarriage many, many years ago. At that time, I was often meeting with and talking with a friend, and she and I began to talk about our stories, and she had a story that also fell into this same category. My friend was a local counselor, Jan Lamb, and she and I just began to pray about this, and we became very burdened that there were many people that were struggling and they had nowhere to turn and did not know where to go for support or how to even move forward, and often found themselves in just a deep place of grief and sadness. So we decided after much prayer and conversation that it was probably time for us to do something to try to help them, and probably to help ourselves too, but didn't realize that part at the time. So I began to look for a study, some kind of a resource, some kind of just an opportunity to be able to provide for the clients that we were seeing, or even other people in our lives that were struggling with the loss of a baby. And after looking at many, many different books, resources, different opportunities online, just different things, we settled on a Bible study that's called Anchored, which is actually this book.
I began seeing a huge impact that miscarriage and child loss had made on clients that were coming through my office. And then I realized that there were some unresolved issues in my own life because of my miscarriage years ago.
When we found Anchored, it was full of scripture, and every single page is just chock full of how God has provided in His Word for healing, for places for understanding to take place, and just different things that we hadn't even really thought about that needed to be uncovered and dealt with. And so we chose Anchored. I just want to tell you that this Anchored study does invite ladies to lay their deepest hurts at the foot of the cross. And when they lay them at the foot of the cross, this allows God to anchor their brokenness. And so when we walked through this study the first time, when we offered it the first time, I found lots of healing. And it was places that I didn't even know that were still raw, but they were.
I know in my own story, I had been told many things that were untrue. I had even been told at one point that miscarriage was a result of sin in a woman's life. And being told that within months of my miscarriage stuck with me for a long, long time. And it wasn't until this Anchored study that I was able to truly let that go.
So we launched Anchored, and we have since offered this many times. We have had dozens of ladies go through this study with us, and we have given them the opportunity to find the same healing and hope that we knew that we needed, and that now we also know that they can experience too. Anchored provides permission for us to share our stories too. Many, many people who have the loss of a baby in their life as part of their journey, as part of their story, they don't know what to do with that. It's just one of those subjects that people don't talk about a lot. And it's not until people realize that you have a similar story that they begin to open up and talk with you. So by going through Anchored, many ladies, all ages, have been able to find others who have walked a similar road. And because they've walked a similar road, they now have someone they can turn to when that grief does begin to just rear its head back up again.
As the women came together in this study and each told their story, from the first session, they became linked to each other. And we saw just a sisterhood come together through these women. It was extremely important to me the first time through because it healed so many areas of grief in my life. And I realized how I had carried it through the years, and I needed to let it go. Watching these other women allow that healing in their lives was such a blessing to us. I can't begin to explain how wonderful it was to see them.
Anchored helped me to realize that the loss had helped shape who I am. And everything that we experience in life is for purpose, and that purpose is always to glorify God. And I have found that because of the loss that we had many, many years ago, I am shaped into the woman I am today. I have come to realize that it's really one of the main purposes that I'm at First Choice. And not everybody can connect immediately and quickly with the ladies when we have to give them sad news. But because the Lord has placed me there, I believe that's a big role. It's a big part of what I do there at First Choice.
It's okay to grieve the loss. And it's okay at some point to give it to God and move on. And I just hope that the women in the future that take this class with us will also see that they can grieve the loss, they can mourn, they can give it to God, and then they can see beautiful again.
First Choice provides a place of healing and hope for any woman who has experienced a loss in their womb. It gives them a place where they can be loved, where they can be cared for, where they can be given a person that just can be a friend to them and just walk with them, whatever that looks like, because every journey is different. But we're always there just for them. I hope that if you or anybody you know has ever experienced a loss of a baby in the womb, that you will remember Anchored, that you'll remember First Choice, that you'll reach out to us. We offer this a couple of times a year, and it's about a 10-week study, typically done online, and so it's convenient and it's easy to access and it's available. And I hope that you will reach out if you or someone you know has experienced a loss of a baby. Please reach out to us because we would love to walk with you.